Got it. I think we are
We're
live.
live. Welcome, everybody, to the YC Weekly Roundup for April 5th, 2024. Got the lovely Nina and Terry here together with me. Let's kick it off with talking about Q2 is started. What we were talking about before the call began was, we've done a lot of wrap up with our clients this week about how do we finish Q1? What, did you hit your goals? And now we're looking ahead to Q2. And I think a lot of that stems from like, do you know your numbers? That's always a big piece of this goal setting. And so if you don't know your numbers, get familiar with your numbers. And you know, I think I saw a lot of strong Q1s. I don't know
Yep.
about you. Yeah, Q1 was pretty good for most, I think all clients. Um, and we're just sort of, I always, when I'm doing some goal setting with clients, is usually there is a number goal, right? There's some kind of like revenue goal and or membership goal is tied to that, et cetera. And if you know your KPIs, you also maybe have a conversion
Potential.
rate. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. And then we also I always like to throw in there like, what personally, how do you want your life to look? You know, is there something that like you're wanting to do your own kind of training or add something as the owner that would make your life better in this next, looking ahead. So we always talk about that too. Um, and I guess with looking ahead to Q2, we're already having a lot of conversations about summer coming up.
Summer, summer.
And so, sort of prepping it here in Q2 to get really a good foundation so that everyone's secure going into the summer. So we're just having some discussions about that too. Anyone want to join in?
I was going to say, you had mentioned that people have started talking about the summer slump, and every year I say the same thing is summer slowdown does not have to equal less money, less revenue. Historically, people don't practice as much in the summer. Like my studio is outside of Metro Boston, and in New England, people want to be outside. People go away. Everybody goes on vacation, particularly in the real northern latitudes. However, my summers were strong because attendance decreases does not mean revenue has to decrease. Because if you've built that value of your membership and people really are coming consistently, we would talk about, just summer is a time to maintain, right? And then maybe you don't come as much in the summer and you still can get in here. If you're still getting in here regularly, maybe you don't come 2 or 3 times a week, maybe you come once or twice a week. If people recognize the value of your membership, then they're going to keep on it. And they all having the option to pause, that's always a good one. We started to offer the pause if people were going away for the summer. Like a lot of people in our area went down to Cape Cod for the summer. So if that's the case, then have that ability to pause. Now, the one thing, if you are going to pause memberships, I would not suggest ever offering a open-ended suspension. Right. So okay, we're going to pause it from this date to this date and it resumes on this date so that you're not having these really long pauses and then they don't come back. So I would definitely have that. And then how can you get creative, to do some things, summer passes. Is it a good time to do a sale? A lot of people do. I'm like, I don't know. Do you? Nina, what did you do at your studio in the summer?
We did. So first of all, before I knew better, I did cut classes. And then I stopped cutting classes and just considered it like an amenity to the
Mhm.
students, to the members, that we would just keep it going. You come, you don't come, but this is available to you. And then we always did a summer challenge
Yep.
and make it fun and have the posters, and adults like stickers.
Oh,
Love
they love
stickers.
stickers. Oh my gosh.
Stickers.
Stickers.
So always with the stickers and um and a prize at the end, like a winner or whatever, like a drawing, and community involvement, get the maybe a discount from the restaurant across the street, something to, just make it fun. Um, and then what did we do for the, yeah, we did a sale I think we did do a sale, but nothing that would compete, of course, with the membership.
With the membership, yeah. Couple of things. That's all. Summer's also a good time to do some member events. Like I would do a potluck picnic in the park,
Hmm.
a local park, right? And that people love that, and
Yeah.
really get into it. And it was such a low lift for me because I'd go to there were a couple parks in the area, and some of them you had to reserve, some of you didn't, but would pick up a local park. And I would say, okay, join us on, Saturday, July, whatever. The studio, I would provide non-alcoholic beverages and like all the paper goods, And then it was just like, bring something you like and something to share. And if you want an adult beverage, bring that as well.
Right.
Right.
Terry, thank you. I forgot. Sorry, go.
That's okay. I would say, and people love that. People got, I mean, it always worked out. We all, just like any potluck, there's always enough. One year I had a guy, he said, hey, can I bring my barbecue? I said, sure. You want to bring your barbecue? Bring your barbecue. And then we're advertising, hey, we're going to have a barbecue. So if you want to bring, want to barbecue something, bring something to barbecue. And it, for me, it probably cost a couple $100. That was it, if that. But then the sense of community and the retention, and people love that. And, and you could do a couple of those in the summer, depending. What were you going to say, Nina?
So Seattle, Washington, the Pacific Northwest, where it's dark 10 months out of the year, truly. So summer is a big deal, and people want to be outside.
Yeah,
so
same thing in New England.
Right.
And we have this stuff, this white flaky stuff that comes down out of the sky. So
yeah. Anytime. It could come in April even.
Yes, it's right now. Actually, there's a Maine, parts of Maine are getting like 2 feet of snow gotten 2 feet of snow over this weekend. They're being slammed with a nor'easter right now. Good for hot yoga though.
Right. True. So I would offer yoga in the park, and it was free, and I would teach it. And I think I would even have new teachers if they wanted to have the experience of teaching. And I did weekly at the farmers market. And then I also would do a summer, like either every Saturday or the first Saturday of the month, like that. And just beautiful, wonderful community event, free.
I mean, like farmers market stuff, that's a great to do some good old fashioned guerrilla marketing. Get a postcard made with like whatever your intro offer is, and then have the QR code to where they can purchase it or book a class. Or if you want, you could do, I'm not a big fan of free, but you could do like one free class. And as long as you have a strategy to get those people, to hook those people in. But yeah, you can get out and do some guerrilla marketing events. Maybe if some of your teachers are wanting to maybe make some extra money, load them up and have them go and say, okay, I want you to post flyers around town. I mean, sometimes we forget about some of these just really good old fashioned things that used to be done all the time. And then, yoga in the park, and good time for, again, if you're going to do that, have like something to hand out to people that come. How did you handle like the liability waiver, Nina? If someone who'd never been to you before, did you have them sign a liability waiver? And on your liability waiver, did it say that,
Park, you mean, or do you mean in the studio?
Yeah, like if you did a yoga in the park.
No, if somebody wants to sue me because they sprained their neck in the park, fuck off.
You're channeling Josh on that one. Yeah, okay.
Totally
But definitely have some type of something you pass out, like a postcard, inviting people back to the studio with like your intro offer or something. Those are all good events to do.
And then also for the summer, like it's that sort of question of, so in terms of offering special events like workshops, sound baths, yin with light touch, massage, things like that, like special things that you maybe don't have on your roster all year round.
Yeah.
I think can also kind of just make it special for the folks that are around.
Yeah,
and attendance might be lower because it's the summer.
Yeah.
But
I think as silly as it sounds, there has to be a mind shift from the owner too.
Right.
Yes.
Like you top down, like you have to realize, like, I hear this so much. Well, everybody has a cottage or everybody in the summer goes to do this. And it's like, Does everybody, or can we, can we start now, even just thinking, actually, one of the things that I talked about with several of my clients this week was like brainstorm the reasons why you want to keep practicing or you should keep practicing during the summer, or why I love to keep practicing during the
Yeah.
summer, and
Top
kind
10
of like,
reasons.
yeah, and have your teachers talk about it in class. It's a subtle thing to start sort of peppering that in and changing the mindset of
Yeah.
people. And, going back to the challenge, like we did a challenge every summer too, with the goal of just staying consistent, whatever level that is for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did that, it's like you can either choose, you kind of choose your own adventure.
Right.
That's how we did ours. But the idea was just like if it's one time a week, even, but everybody still practices,
Yeah.
So, and I think I've talked about this before when we started to kind of shift that mindset and do all these things and be consistent with that kind of messaging and challenge. I think 2021, our June and July were, I mean, the highest they'd ever been.
Hand,
Yeah.
yes. Hand to God, it was like when I had that mind shift myself in 2017, 18, and 19, my June, July, and August were better revenue wise than my January, February, and March.
Yeah.
Attendance, yes, was slightly down,
Right.
but revenue was still super strong.
Yeah.
And for that, I think it was for that exact reason. It was like, because my coach said to me, Terry, summer does not mean does not have to mean less revenue. And I think you can make, sort of you said earlier, Nina, about you didn't change your schedule. And while I do agree with that, and sometimes you can change it a little bit.
Yeah.
You can change it a little bit if it's like we used to have a 4:30 Saturday afternoon. And after I was teaching it like the week after 4th of July, and there were 2 people in it, I'm like, I pulled it off the schedule. What I always did is I never canceled a class. Here's a little just semantics. I would suspend the class.
Right.
Right. And I do think depending on where you're at, there's some areas where you excuse me, speaking of Cape Cod, because they would get inundated in the summer. Yoga studios had a completely different schedule in the summer than they did in the winter because they had so many influx of people that would live there for the summertime. So you can, depending on where you're at, it depends on that. And one other thing have talked a lot about is like a summer pass, like a semester, like a student summer pass. And with a couple of clients that have asked, I said, well, why make it a student summer pass? Just make it a summer pass. Because maybe there's someone, maybe, for example, a school teacher during the school year isn't able to get into or whatever, but in the summertime they have a little bit more time. And because they're like, oh, then because then you don't have to deal with, student IDs and, all of that stuff. And what you can price it with one client, what we did is we didn't make it like 3 months, we made it 10 weeks. We made it like a 10-week summer pass. And we basically took, not basically, we took their gold membership, their monthly membership, and divided it by 4.2 because there's 4.2 weeks in a month, 4.2, almost 4.3 weeks in a month, and came up with what the weekly rate was. And then we just times that by 10. And that's what we priced that summer pass out. Because again, to Nina's point, you don't want anything you have as a summer pass. You don't want it to undercut your membership because we've seen that where people do, and then people cancel their regular membership to get the summer deal. And it's like, no, that's not what we want to happen. So you can get creative if you do have a lot of students coming in or visitors coming in or something like that. Just create a summer pass. And again, making sure that it does not compete with your goal monthly membership, right? But I used to do I called it the summer sizzle package. I did 13 classes for the price of 10 until I knew better. And then I stopped doing that. And it's like, I had a friend who would do an annual sale every summer. I'm like, I don't know about that. I think if you do market now, so you do, you market when you're busy so you don't get slow.
Yeah.
So if you ramp up your marketing now, do some marketing now to get people in for your intro offer in the summer. And like Carol said, We always used to talk about, particularly being in the Northeast where it's really cold in the wintertime, we would say, because I was a hot yoga studio, and I think this would apply to a non-heated classes as well. It's like we say in the wintertime, it's really maintenance, right? Because you show up and your body, it just takes so long for the body to warm up. You're naturally colder. Let me say, if you want to really deepen your practice, summertime is the time to deepen your practice. Because you get here even at 6:30 in the morning, your body's already warm, it's warmer, blah, blah, blah. So we would talk about how, to Carol's point, the benefits of practicing in the summer and, all of those kind of things. And you just have to weave those, as Carol said, you have to weave those conversations just into everything you talk about in the studio and doing the challenge.
Yeah. I'm excited because I have been talking to a lot of my clients and they're thinking ahead right now for summer. So I'm super proud of them for that. And, one of the things with a couple of them we're doing is that free week event that a lot of studios did in February, the Share the Love.
Yeah.
We're looking to do that in May and sort of get this influx of people and then start a challenge for the summer and see. So we'll report back and see how that strategy works. But that's our strategy for like keeping a push through, from the end of Q2 and into the summer. So
now, is that Share the Love? I was just going to ask about the open house that used to be recommended. Is that
we still do that too? Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Is that could be to do it? I think that's when I would do it, was in May.
Yeah. The nice thing, so both of those strategies work well, the Share the Love and the open house. The thing about the Share the Love, that particularly for studios, and we have studios like this in the YC, where their classes are pretty full a lot of the time. And so the thing is, like, if you do a free yoga weekend and your classes on the weekends are already kind of full with wait lists, it can be you might not get a lot of new people. So one thing, if your studio is in that position, is doing like a Share the Love free week. It staggers it out over that period of time. So you're not having such an influx of people in one shot. So they're both very effective strategies. I had one of my clients did her Share to Love in February and was incredibly successful. They had a really high conversion. You guys did too. We had two clients do it. You guys and Pure Hot Yoga and Orange Lotus Yoga both did the Share the Love. That's right, because we did the on-site right before, and the numbers reflect it, right? It's like they got they converted. So here's the thing with either a free yoga weekend and or a Share the Love or anything where it's free, you have to have a follow-up strategy, and you have to be selling what most people do. So it has to be, you can't just, I shouldn't say you can't. I mean, sure, you can do whatever you want, but I can tell you from experience that if you just do a free thing and then don't really have follow-up, all you're doing is just, the first free yoga day I did I thought it was a huge success because all the classes were packed. And in fact, in one class, the teacher literally had to teach with her back to the wall. Room was so stuffed. But it was an abysmal failure, because when I looked at it later, I was like, I didn't sell any of my intros. It's just people came in, took class and left because I did not have a good strategy. So that's the thing. That's where
it's a lot of effort in one weekend to like have really no one get on your intro. So you got to have that plan in place.
Yeah, I had no plan, of course. Yeah. I didn't really get good at planning till I got a coach.
Well, I want to shout out to Holly in DC because she has a free yoga weekend coming up this weekend.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She is planned. She is ready. I'm so excited for her. She had to add an extra class on the schedule this weekend.
Positive vibes her way.
Let's go, Holly. Yes.
Go, Holly. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. What else was it? Yeah. So free yoga weekends, free weeks, summer passes, summer challenges, picnics in the park, yoga in the park. I had a client do a summer challenge last year that was phenomenally successful. And when we looked at the numbers, at first she was nervous. Then when it hit, she was nervous, but it sprung right back. What she did is if you completed the challenge, then you got like $25 off your September you got your September auto pay paid for. or for free. I forget, whatever it was. She ended up having quite a few people do it. But then when we looked at the number, because she's like, oh my gosh, it was like a couple of $1,000 that didn't get charged in September. And when we looked at the numbers later, a couple of months later, it was like it rebounded right back, and it was a huge success because her sales were like 35% in the summer. Because remember, when people are practicing regularly, it's not just the yoga classes they're taking. Maybe they're buying some retail. If someone practicing, if they're doing a challenge, maybe they buy another yoga mat. So if you do have retail, you could do as part of the challenge. You could say, hey, I was a big proponent with yoga mats, have at least 2 or 3. So one to show, one to go, one's always ready. Right. And so people would, perhaps buy some more yoga mats, or maybe have some branded. People love, you can have logoed wear. People will buy t-shirts or tank tops, or yoga outfits if you're selling yoga outfits. So keep in mind that if you're getting the people and doing the challenge, and if you are doing retail, those are additional sales that you can get. And that's where, again, helping that income come up, even if you have less attendance, kind of thing. I have a client right now that's doing an early bird challenge, sort of on topic, similar in that they want their 6 a.m. classes. They want to build up their 6 a.m. classes, get more people coming to 6 a.m. classes. So they're specifically doing an early bird challenge right now, early days, to see if it's going to be successful or not. But again, why not try it? There could be something like that too. Summertime can also be a good time to do pop-up classes, right? If you want to try out maybe a new class format or do something special, like we did date night. One, like a date night thing, come in, we had a special class, and then we had a lot of couples come and take it and then go out afterwards. We put on a couple of 8 p.m. classes in the summertime that were a couple of nights a week so that a lot of young kids took that one. It was kind of fun. So again, that's another time where you can try some different things and see how they go. You can get really creative. Nina, you're smiling down there.
Yeah, just remembering the good old. Yeah.
I know.
And what Carol said about that mind shift of that, you really have to put your mind to that. It's not going to slow down.
Yeah. Revenue is not going to slow down. Attendance can slow down. And then for yourself too, you plan some trips for yourself. Take some time off.
Yeah.
And I think, what do you guys, it's sort of on topic too, is how do you feel, it just came to me, because some studios will do this, is like just closing, straight up closing and saying this, particularly again in New England, cradle of
Right.
constitutional. I mean, it's like 4th of July is a huge deal.
Yeah.
So what do you think about, even closing down for a few days and say, hey, everybody's taking a vacation. We're all giving the studio a chance to rest, enjoy it. I knew some people that did that. There is a studio out in California that always closes between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. They always take that week away. And, people didn't cancel their memberships. I mean, did you ever do that? I'm just throwing that out. Anybody do that in a way? And you just like straight up say, hey, we're taking
not one day, not one single day. We're open every day. I can appreciate that. I think that I don't think there's a right or wrong. Not that you're putting that out there, but that's interesting. That's an interesting concept. It could be a time to also do work on the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, who's off? Are you off as the owner? But
Right.
teacher meetings, teacher training, like teacher development, paint. Maybe that's when you're painting the lobby, refreshing. I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting. If it doesn't hurt the membership.
Yeah, I mean, I did, when I put in my zebra floor, I had to close for 3 days. And people were so excited that I got rid of that old stinky carpet. But full disclosure, the carpet's under the tiles. We just put plastic over it. Because when I went to pull up the carpet, they had glued it to the subfloor.
Yeah.
And because of this, it was like when we started pulling, it was pulling up chunks of the subfloor.
Mhm.
So if I had pulled out the entire carpet like I initially planned, I would have had to re-pour the subfloor to level, level it back out. And
Mhm.
then, which then you have to let it cure. So I would have had to been closed way more than 3 days.
Yeah.
So I called Zebra Floor in a panic and they said, oh no, just so you can get that really, I got the thickest plastic I could at Lowe's and I just put that over it. And they even told me what tape to use. And then we put the zebra tiles on top of
You
that.
have the sweat of former, the sweat of Christmas past under
But
there.
seriously, once we put the plastic down and then we put the zebra tiles, you could not, the smell was gone.
Right.
And never, you couldn't, it was such a big difference. But yeah, so you can do maintenance projects when it's a little slower. And yeah, maybe you don't close the studio for a few days, but maybe you do cancel some classes and just say, hey, we're going to be doing maintenance at the studio. I tell you, people appreciate that. People
Mhm.
do appreciate when you do that, when when you're investing back into your business.
True.
People, like when I upgraded with the floors and stuff, people were excited. They were like, oh, it's so great to see Terry, doing some upgrades around the studio. Like a fresh coat of paint does wonders.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there's some summer ideas. Anybody have any, post below some of the things that you do during the summer to keep clients engaged and things that have been successful for you. And yeah, let's share the love. Let's share the love amongst ourselves.
Mhm.
So another topic that has come up recently on calls is retreats. Kind of segue, we're talking about summer, is selling retreats. What do you do? How do you sell a retreat? Particularly, international ones, destination ones where it's a larger ticket item. And, what do you do when the retreat's not selling? And how do you market it? What are you doing for a retreat? I mean, I never did a retreat. I don't think Carol ever did a retreat. I'm learning more about retreats. But Nina, in fact, you've got a retreat coming up next month, right?
Too, yeah, in May. And this is an interesting one. It's the first ever. So I'm also leading a teacher training, um, part virtually. I've never done it this way, and part immersion in Costa Rica. And then my co-trainer, Missy Jones, she's an amazing teacher and teacher trainer. Um, we decided let's open the Costa Rica part up to a retreat. Why not? You want to just come do yoga with us twice a day and sit in on posture clinics for an hour in the morning? Come along. Um, so yeah, so typically what I do is, the retreat center, the facility will give you the wholesale price typically, and then you mark it up, whatever it is that you want to make, whatever you want to make. And I'll usually kind of put in that markup a couple hundred extra so that in the event that I don't sell out, I can put some rooms on sale. And then I'm not actually out. I'm just reducing the price.
So what would you typically mark it up? Would you go for like a 50% gross profit or 100% market, 50% gross
It
profit?
really depends on their wholesale rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I usually like to make at least 500. I mean, I'm just $500 ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on, because each place can really vary.
Very, yeah.
Portugal to Latin America, and even within Latin America, I mean, the prices can really, and local domestic US, I mean, that's a whole nother. I've never done a retreat in the US for that reason, because the markup is not as great.
Yeah. Of course, then you have to, pricing is part art and part science because then it's the travel, the airfare that people have, the additional airfare. And I know that the place you're going, Pura Vida, right, in Costa Rica,
Yeah.
they include the airport transfer, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And if they don't, I always do. And I just pay for that out of my cut, because I feel like that's a really important amenity
Yeah.
that people are really paying to go on vacation with you.
Yeah, they are.
So they want to be taken care of. And side note, it's not your vacation. That's a big
Right.
mindset shift. Like you're not on vacation, they're on vacation. And they want to be taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, so I always include that.
Yeah. And one thing with one of my clients who did her first international retreat in February, she went to Casa Om.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things we drew up before is she paid for her manager to go, her teacher manager to go as support, and we drew up an expectation agreement because we wanted to be very clear to the young woman that this is not a vacation. Same thing. It was similar. So if you have staff that's coming, that's there to support you, then have an agreement with the expectations. We had it specific, like for any event, any of the offsites, you will be at the bus site 30 minutes before we leave. For any of the classes, you will be there 30 minutes before the class begins. So we made it very, very clear that this is not your vacation. Right, because everything was paid. And then what was interesting, she had one teacher that wanted to go with her daughter, but didn't want to work there. She said, if you want me, and this is what I thought was we thought we did, she did this, is the teacher's like, look, I'm using this as my vacation. If you want me to teach, I would be happy to teach a class. And so we're like, okay, great. So what she did for this teacher was, and the teacher paid the full rate, and then she taught, I think, 2 classes, and then the studio owner just paid her regular teaching rate for those 2 classes that she taught.
Yeah.
So that was a good trade-off. It's like, hey, I want to go, but I'm using this. I don't want to have to worry about anything,
Yeah.
and I'm willing to teach. And so that was a good win as
That's
well.
nice. Because it's
Yeah.
a lot
Sure.
on your own. It's nice to have a little cushion.
Yeah. So I do think that if you are going on a retreat, having someone there on staff with you is important. Like we do when we do the summit. I mean, all of us, you don't know, Nina, but you will this year. But Carol and I both know it's a lot of work when we put that out. It's fun. It's so much fun. And by the way, stay tuned. We're going to be rolling out the summit here, all the details of the summit very, very soon. And for those who've been before, you know kind of the deal. But we're going to a new place this year. So I'm super excited about that.
In Sayulita, though, yes?
It's in Salulita. Yeah, we're still going to Salulita. We're just not going back to La Jolla. And so it's going to be a new place. I've seen pictures. It looks fabulous. So stay tuned for details for that.
When I was there in February, we were rolling around in the golf cart looking at, because I've led a million retreats in
Yeah.
showing him this place and that. I'm curious what he chose.
I won't say yet. I don't want to.
No, don't say.
I don't want to
I'm
steal
curious.
his thunder. I can tell you afterwards, but
Yeah.
I don't want to steal the thunder. I did see pictures
Yeah.
of it. So yeah,
Cool.
so stay speaking. Yeah. So if you want to have a little bit of a working vacation, if you want to put those dates on your calendar right now, it is the week of November 4th. It's usually that week. And if you are coming from the United States, make sure you vote ahead of time because Tuesday the 5th is voting day. So you got to do early voting if you're coming. And you'll have to prove that you voted or we're going to vote you off the island. So yeah, so stay tuned for details on that. And we do have, if you've not done a retreat or a big event or like a YTT, we do have last year, and we'll probably do it this year too, is we had a marketing communication workshop last year, and we do have like a outline of event communication outline. We have it, we have resources for like a shorter term event, something that's a smaller ticket item, like a special workshop or in terms of how far out you should be advertising it and setting it up, as well as something like a YTT or a retreat that has a large price attached to it. You really should start we recommend about 6 months out. And, just like to save the date with the basic information, particularly if it's, if it's a high ticket item and you have to go out of the country so people can make arrangements and start pricing things out. You certainly don't want to try to throw it together in a couple of months. It's just, I'm sure you could do it, but I don't know how effective it would be. And then making sure you have all your cancellation policies and all of that good stuff in place. Nina, what do you typically do for that part of it? Non-refundable deposit with a tiered cancellation depending on when they cancel?
Great idea. That's a great idea. I do a non-refundable deposit. And no, it's not transferable to another training. So I did just have some people cancel, and they have requested a really pricey suite, which I then held for them, and then they canceled. And so what I did was I used and it's usually $500 per person. So for the two of them, it was $1,000 deposit. And what I did was I put it on sale. And I mean, what a screaming deal. I said, you guys, $1,000 off, two people, or $500 off for one of you. And I sold it out like within days.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, but I like that tiered. Say more about that.
Well, I mean, it's like, okay, so the non-refundable deposit, I did this for my one loan YTT, is that, okay, it's X amount of non-refundable deposit paid in full. And then if you canceled within X amount of time before the training, refunded everything but the deposit. And then the next step was, if it was this amount of time, they got half off, half back.
Mhm.
And then if it was within this amount of time, they wouldn't get anything back at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that I'd learned that I've seen that somewhere else. That was not my idea. It was there was something I did that had that, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. The other thing that did happen, and I was okay with this, is somebody, again, on my one loan TT, YTT, ended up couldn't do it. And I'm sorry, you can't. And so she said, well, I have someone who wants to take my spot. I said, I'm okay with that, but she's going to pay you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. If that does happen, it's like, okay, I can't refund you your money. It's too late. But if you find somebody to take your spot, they can pay you back.
Right.
And that worked out. But the key there was like they can take your spot, but they have to pay you. I'm not paying you. I'm not refunding you the money, and then they're paying me, because then I get charged the credit card fees all over again. I'm like, nope, they got to pay.
Your time, your admin time.
Yeah, plus the admin time. Yeah. So it's like, so yeah, so these are just some things you want to make sure you really have nailed down. And you should have like an agreement, not unlike your waiver.
Yes, I have it
Right.
as a Google form.
Yep.
Yes, I agree.
Yep. And our favorite yoga lawyer, Corey Sterling, would be able to help you out with that if you don't have one. And all of that good stuff. So yeah, so there are some ideas if you're struggling with a YTT or a retreat, and here's the other thing, team, you have to sell it.
Mhm.
And you have to be constantly advertising it, pushing it out, have a dedicated landing page that you send people to, and make a list. Do you ever do this, Nina? It's like, okay, I make a list of people I'm going to call and say, hey, Carol, got this retreat coming up. I think you would love it.
People really like to be invited and thought of. And it's like, oh, I want to go on vacation with you.
Yeah.
That's what you say to them. Or if it's
I want to go on vacation with you.
or for teacher training, like, excuse me, Terry, but that standing head to knee is
I
out.
have an awesome standing. I did. I know it's not so great anymore, but I did have an awesome standing head to knee.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about teacher training?
Yeah, really? You think I'd be a good teacher?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, sign me up.
Because you love the practice.
Yeah.
And that's what's coming through. Yeah, that's really how I've gotten almost all of my signups as personal invitations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Carol? You didn't. Did you ever do any YTTs? No.
No, I just did, I trained people one-on-one. I think we talked about that recently.
Yeah, that's right.
But, yeah.
Really retro.
But,
very cool.
Very retro. I was thinking about, when you're targeting the people, one, obviously, yes, people you think would be interested, But, that big spenders report in Mind Body was always helpful to know. Like sometimes I didn't realize who was really like buying all the retail, but spending a lot of money in the studio. And so those are people like you, if you start to look at that, it's like those would be really easy people to
Yep.
reach out to. And, you know, if they're looking into a bigger ticket item, then
Yeah.
they might, you don't want to assume that some other people that aren't on that list wouldn't also be, have the means to do something like a big retreat, but it's a
Yeah.
good place to start.
I love that big spenders report. Because it also, you can run in MindBody, you can look at, obviously, they have that wonderful average revenue analysis report, which gives you the average revenue per class, but then you can actually look at the average revenue by client.
Ooh, I
And
didn't know that.
so I had a client, and when I looked at that, it was because she came so much. I think her average revenue per visit was like $350.
Right.
However, she was like in the top 5 of my big spenders. Because like in MindBody, when you're looking at the average revenue report, that's average revenue per visit based upon class packages. It's not based upon any other purchases, right? So when I would look at my big, I'm like, yeah, I'm only making $350 a class, but she's spending lots of money at the studio. This is what I talk about, because I sold way mats, because we're a hot studio, and she seriously had like 10 way mats of all different colors. And when she'd buy a yoga mat, she'd buy a way mat to coordinate with it. And so when she came to class, it was always the coordinated outfit, the coordinated, the way mat always matched what she was wearing. And yeah, because she'd come and take 2 classes. She'd do my 9:30 Bikram and my noon hot Pilates, almost 5 days a week.
Great combo.
Yeah.
She needed all those mats.
Yeah, she needed all those mats. So anyway, so I know we're kind of off topic there, but that's, sometimes when you're looking at, oh my gosh, I'm not making that much money off of this person, that's where you can look at that report as well. And seeing that. I had another client who he didn't buy a lot of, he came a lot as well. And let me tell you, this guy spent a ton in drinks. A ton of money, because he would get a drink. It's like I was blown away, and I had good margin on my drinks. I mean, he spent so much money because he got one. It was just like, it blew me away. It blew me away
Yeah.
about that. So I don't know how we got on this topic, but yes, know your numbers. It's important to know your numbers. Yeah. Well, I can't think of anything else right now.
I'm going to go teach a yoga class.
They're going to go teach a yoga class? What kind of yoga class are you teaching, Nina?
1 hour Bikram.
1 hour. So, how do you teach it? How do you flow it?
Yes. Well, teaching being, no, I'm just giving words. There's no teaching. There's no teaching.
But how is it?
Yeah.
What's your flow? What's your flow for an hour?
1 set pranayama, 2 sets of everything until standing head to knee. Sorry / you're welcome. 1 set standing head to knee. You'll never miss the second set, I promise. And then 2 sets until we get to separate leg stretching. 1 set separate leg stretching. I don't flow the separate leg series. I just come back, feet together. 2 sets of triangle, separate leg, head to knee, tree into toe stand. Shavasana is like relax, wind removing, 1 set. Spine strengthening, 2 sets. Fixed firm, half tortoise. Camel 2, rabbit 2, separate leg, head to knee with Paschimottanasana 1. Spine twist 1, breathing 1. Done. I like that, actually. What I like is economy of words.
Yeah.
In general, actually, in life. Like, just say as little as possible. But
You would have had my first Bikram class. It was 100 minutes.
Oh, the one that you taught?
My very first, yeah.
Yeah.
I never, it's interesting with, I know we're kind of getting away, but with Bikram teachers particularly, they tend to fall in, typically most first-time Bikram teachers, and maybe this is true for Vinyasa, I don't know, would be early. Like 80 minutes, 85 minutes.
Not
me?
Not Terry.
Not me. I struggled. It was always,
yeah.
I mean, even in fact, I remember when I did my half moon in front of Bikram, he said, "You teach like that, your class be 90 minutes, your class be too long." And he was right. And it's not because I talk slow.
No. Yeah.
Those who know me know why. Where did you take my speed Bikram class? Were you there when I did the speed Bikram class?
Think
That was your
so.
first. That was your first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
summit
at the
as a
summit
coach.
as a coach.
Mhm.
I taught a 45-minute Bikram class, 2 sets of everything. Oh yeah,
Wow.
it
Vroom,
was
vroom.
vroom vroom. Yeah, vroom vroom. Anyway, too funny. Speaking of, yoga, go do some yoga. Have a great weekend. Or as the Lady Dowager Countess Grantham would say, weekend? What's a weekend? Oh, speaking of which, Downton Abbey fans, they're coming out with another movie. Yay! If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Downton Abbey.
I do love that show. It'll be great.
That show. I've watched it. I rewatched it not too long ago. That and the other one I love is, now we're really off topic, is West Wing. I rewatched West Wing not too long ago. I love West Wing.
Wow. Wow.
I'd vote for President Bartlett. All right, team.
Hey, have a
YC.
great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you in the YC. Post your comments below. What are you doing for the summer? What are your plans? How are things going? If you don't have a coach, book a free coaching call with any one of us. Find out how we can help you supercharge your business so that you don't experience a summer slowdown. How about that?